Hi, thank you very much. I'd like to start out by asking everyone to power down their devices during my talk. And for those of you that don't know, the power button's either on the top or on the side of your phone. I'd also like to thank the guys from state.com for permission to use this video.
I want to post about how great this coffee is, but I can't think of a funny way to say it.
This post is like a page long. How do I shorten this?
Just take out all the vowels.
No.
Seriously.
It'll still be like
Seriously.
a page.
Hey guys, you on Twitter? Follow me.
Sometimes I want to move to another country where I wouldn't have to deal with this stuff.
Isso faz parecer que eu tô me achando?
Hashtag photo of the day.
Hashtag I quit. Just kidding.
Hashtag multitasking.
Hashtag squirm worm.
Hashtag road trip dudes. Not while you're driving, man.
Hashtag YOLOI.
Is anybody even gonna read this?
Besties.
Coffee friends. Mini bagels.
Unsubscribe.
What's up, Facebook?
Oh, look at my new shoes. Unfollow.
I love coffee.
We're going viral. Driving selfie. Glaciers.
Desert.
Third world.
Nobody cares.
I'm gonna hide all of you.
Dude, I made the popular page.
So I want to talk about three things tonight. How social media is disconnecting us, what's happening now, and how we can do better. Gallup took a poll in 2001, and every average American said that they had 10 really close friends. The same poll this year said we had 2. So what happened? Where did everybody go? And I think we know where. I think we've all seen this by now, maybe even been a little guilty of it ourselves. I see families like this out to dinner all the time, and it drives me nuts. And I see couples on dates, clearly together, but on their cell phones. It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. But to me, what does this say when we are together? To me, it says that there's someone, anyone, on the other end of this screen that's way more important than you, who's right in front of my face. There's a study by Mary Meeker that says we touch our phones or check our phones 150 times a day. And we upload 1.8 billion pictures to Facebook. That's a little over a sixth of the population a day for pictures. Remember when the internet was new? Those of us that do. That was really actually only about 25 years ago, if you can imagine. I remember when we had pagers. Time seemed a little simpler back then. You'd get the beep, you may return the call, you may not return the call. Or when we had answer machines, you could always say that you weren't home. Now we have a list of all these excuses that may or may not work. But it seems like the more we talk about how technology divides us, the more we demand from it. And I think that's a huge risk that we're running in our society today. We have this shortened vocabulary now. It's all about the texting. Even my mom, she says, just text me. And she's a little bit older, I won't say, because she'll see this later. So, OMG, oh my goodness, LOL, laugh out loud, WTF, why the face? So when we abbreviate our vocabulary, what we risk is losing the nuances, subtleties, and intimate parts of our personalities that make up our very rich American vocabulary. And with that shortening, we lose and run the risk of not being able to fully express ourselves and communicate as we move forward. And that losing our vocabulary equals a potential loss of being able to express ourselves. How many times does anybody look in horror when their cell phone rings with a personal call? A whole conversation starts happening in your head when it rings. Tiffany, why is Tiffany calling? What does Tiffany want? Why is she calling me? And then you have that last ringtone moment where you know you have to pick up that phone or let it go to a voicemail you may or may not check. Hey, Tiffany, what's up? The whole time thinking she could have completely texted this whole message to me. If I asked everybody in here if they could take their phone, set it down, and walk away for an hour, could you do it? An immediate sense of panic comes over us. We will turn the car around even if we are halfway to our destination just to go back and get our cell phones. I had a BlackBerry, which I adored, and I kept it for a really long time. But you guys remember when we had Blackberries, don't you? What did we call them back then? That's right, crackberries. So it's no surprise where we've landed ourselves now. So I took my BlackBerry into the Apple store when everybody else had their Apple phone, and the transition was more than I could bear, experiencing phone shame. And I went in, and of course it was completely jam-packed at the Apple store, and this cute kid comes up to me and he's like, "May I help you?" And I said, "Yes, you can. I would like a phone that could do this." So I took my BlackBerry and I threw it on the ground, but pop, 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 it goes all the way across the store. Everybody just stops in the store, gasps, and I walk over and I pick it up and I said, "See, the screen's fully intact and it still works." And he just looked, not missing a beat, and he said, "We don't have a phone that can do that." A new study out by the Cohen's Children's Medical Center in New Hyde Park, their study says this year that texting while driving is now the #1 cause of death for teens, more than drinking and driving. So what this means is there's a lot of drunks on the road. I was speaking to some high school students, and of course, you know, they're always willing to make some sort of bargain, and they raised their hand and they said, "Well, what if you're at a stop sign? Or what if you're at a stoplight?" And I said my message was, I don't think there's really anything that can't wait until we get to our destination. And don't forget, if you send that text at the stop sign, they're probably going to text you back while you're driving. So maybe not the best idea. And I'll give you an example. If you're driving 55 miles an hour and you look down at your phone for 5 seconds, you've just now driven the length of an entire football field completely blind. And it's not just our kids, it's us as well. We are constantly at work, constantly connected, and constantly distracted. Every one of us thinks of some sort of extreme vacation we need to go on, where we may say to our bosses, "You know, I'm going to go on a very extreme vacation. There's just absolutely no way I can return anything during the day." But you're still expected to go back to the hotel and return your work emails. So if we as adults are this distracted, our kids are seeing this, we're always at work, and where are they? Always on their devices. And how many times have you guys heard, "What do you mean you don't know? I posted it on Facebook." So for some reason now, we're all supposed to know about each other's lives because they posted it on Facebook. And I don't know that you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. You didn't tell me last week when we were at brunch. And what do we present, really, when we are on Facebook? We present an idyllic life, perfect parenting, great relationships. We hardly ever give any bad news or copy about ourselves because that doesn't make for a lot of likes. Different high school group I was speaking to, and they raised their hand and educated me on something I didn't know. They said, "You know, we wait until 5 o'clock before we post our Instagram pictures because that's when we know all of our friends are out and we'll get the most traffic." I thought that was pretty interesting, and then they started talking a little bit more about how they get jealous. So if one person gets more likes on Instagram than the other, then they just take it down. So there's all this emotional turmoil and strife going on with our number of likes somehow equaling our self-esteem. We are all our own public relations firms, always trying to figure out how we can increase our numbers. Work sometimes demands that from us as well. Certainly, we do that a lot in our personal life. And this is what we present on Facebook. I mean, here's who we really are in real life. And this is what we present on Facebook. Guilty a little bit of it. We have the selfie now. And if you think about a selfie, it's rather a sad invention. It's us taking a picture of ourselves by ourselves. Maybe we can get 2 more people if somebody really has a long arm. The bathroom selfie, I find this hilarious. I see it all the time. I'm like, oh, great, that's you in front of a mirror. Great, going to a party I probably was not invited to, that you're going to be selfieing your way through while I watch Home Alone on Facebook. We have the Oscar selfie. That was a lot of fun. That crashed the Twitter feed, I think most people know. And then we have the funeral selfie, not so fun. She looks very unpleased. And we have the driving selfie because I mentioned research shows that won't kill you at all. I think we would all live life better if we had hands to hold rather than keys to click. Thank you. Thank you. I think we need to take that pause in our life, make mud pies, build a fort, take the time to gaze at the clouds for rhinoceroses and unicorns screen-free. And if change starts from within, we are that change. We can be that change and teach our kids what it was like before we lived life in front of a screen. We can use social media to create positive face-to-face groups and organizations and meeting places like we have tonight. Not hashtag activism, but people activism. We need to look up and see who our neighbor is. We need to look up and put that phone away. Make a human connection, teach human interaction as if it were as important as the very breath we breathe. Look up at me, look up at each other, and look up at you. And I'm going to ask everyone in here to take a screen-free challenge. Unplug for 1 hour a day, and if you like this message, please share it. Thank you very much.